Hello and welcome. You're watching News Central Television. I am Judith Atibi. It's time for News Central now, and here are the top stories at this hour. President Bola Tinubu pledges support for the military in its battle against insurgents across northern Nigeria. As the world marks World Press Freedom Day, there are calls to navigate the rapid integration of artificial intelligence into their journalism. And off to Gabon, I beg your pardon, where its president-elect Brice Oligui Nguema is set to be sworn in following a landslide victory in the polls, securing nearly 95% of the vote. Details shortly. And we begin with security issues. President Bola Tinubu has pledged enhanced support for the military in its battle against insurgents and armed groups across northern Nigeria. Now, during his visit to Katsina State, his first since the recent spike in violence, the president declared that terrorism, banditry and insurgency had, quote, persisted for too long, end quote. He promised better equipment for troops and the deployment of advanced technology and improved intelligence gathering. In April alone, more than 100 people were killed in attacks. While the military has made gains against Boko Haram and the Islamic State West Africa province since 2009, insecurity continues to plague large parts of the north. Armed gangs also remain a serious threat in northwestern communities. Now, the military has come under increasing criticism over civilian casualties resulting from airstrikes in two recent incidents. More than 100 civilians were killed in Zamfara and Kaduna State.
In chief, I am fully aware of the challenges you face, the sacrifices you are making. We are taking bold steps to equip you with advanced equipment, necessary technological advancement, superior intelligence, and robust logistical support, not only to defend this nation, but to dominate and defeat every adversary. The fight you are waging here in Katsina and all over the country, it's not just a battle for territory, it is a battle for the soul of Nigeria. Your resilience, your courage in the face of danger inspires the entire nation. Your sacrifices do not go unnoticed. Nigerians are counting on you to end this menace and reclaim every inch of our country. Let me hear you loudly. Are you ready? Are you committed? Ending this security once and for all. I am with you. Let your resolve echo through every valley, every forest. Let the enemies of Nigeria know their time is up.
And now to more security issues here. Minister of State for Defense Bello Matawalle has called for increased support from the United States in intelligence sharing, counterterrorism efforts, and the enhancement of military capabilities to address the country's growing security challenges. Matawalle disclosed this while receiving Major General Gary Carman, Director for Strategy Engagement and Programs at the United States Africa Command, AFRICOM, during a courtesy visit to the Ministry of Defense headquarters, Ship House in Abuja. Major General Hammond is in Nigeria as part of a familiarization tour in his current role within AFRICOM. According to a statement from the Ministry of Defense, Matawalle emphasized the need to deepen the defense partnership between Nigeria and the United States, highlighting the importance of collaboration in overcoming shared security threats and enhancing regional stability. Hundreds of women in Rivers State staged a dramatic workout on Friday during an empowerment event where First Lady Remi Tinubu was expected to speak and distribute support items. The event, part of the Renewed Hope Initiative Empowerment Tour that is led by the First Lady, was held in Port Harcourt. Now, tensions rose when the wife of the sole administrator of Rivers State, Ibok Ibas, attempted to address the gathering. The women, visibly upset, walked out in protest. A viral video from the event showed the women exiting the venue in unison, calling on President Bola Tinubu to reinstate Governor Siminalayi Fubara. Meanwhile, suspended Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara has returned to Nigeria following a 2-week vacation abroad. He arrived at Port Harcourt International Airport around 7 p.m. on Friday, where he was received by a handful of aides, as seen in a widely circulated video online. The governor was promptly ushered into a waiting SUV, which departed the airport without delay. There has been no official statement regarding his return or the current status of his suspension. Now, during his time away, Fubara reportedly held a closed-door meeting with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in London. Now, as the world marks World Press Freedom Day, this year's theme, Time to Put AI on the Social Agenda, resonates strongly with journalists navigating the rapid integration of artificial intelligence into their profession. Now, the focus on putting AI on the social agenda sheds light on the increasingly complex relationship between technology and journalism. News Center's Igbalani Omoni reports.
In the years past, journalists relied solely on their creative and investigative skills to craft stories. But with the emergence of AI, the media landscape has changed dramatically. AI tools can now generate stories, analyze data, and produce content at unprecedented speed. While some view these as a breakthrough for efficiency and productivity, others are concerned it may erode the human touch that defines quality journalism.
AI cannot take my job. AI doesn't have the emotions, doesn't have the nitty-gritty, doesn't really understand the ethics of this profession.
On the other hand, many journalists see AI as a valuable tool to enhance their work. By automating routine tasks, AI allows reporters to devote more time to in-depth, investigative and nuanced storytelling.
I sent AI on an errand to help me write something. I look at it, I check it out as well, and I make use of it. AI is a tool that I use often in my work, makes my work easier and faster.
Apart from helping us to improve our work, it can enhance your editorial judgment. If you are a well-trained journalist, you begin to see, other side of issues, because sometimes you're unable to think through things, in a comprehensive fashion. You have an idea of what you want, but you're unable to put a finger to it.
However, one of the key challenges of AI in journalism is bias. Since AI systems are trained on existing data, they risk reflecting or even reinforcing biases embedded in that data. To counter these, integrating AI literacy into journalism training is becoming increasingly vital. In today's digital age, the journalist's role is evolving. While anyone can use AI to generate content, professional journalists contribute essential qualities such as ethical judgment, critical thinking, and editorial integrity that machines cannot replicate.
Well, I understand what is being said when we talk about fear, and you can really relate that fear to this aspect of doing things the ethical way. But I think at the end of the day, we probably have to look inwards and take a decision as to how we want to approach the work that we're doing and what results we want to come out with.
It is very possible to run an entire newsroom solely with AI. And let's say, for example, in best case scenario, you have, say, for example, fact-checking, maybe a system that prioritizes all the stories that are coming in from all the streams, can check and decide what works best at what time. It can be very efficient, from the actual presenters or newscasters who are AI generated to the lifelike audio that we can get now. It is possible, but we could decide as a people and say that we want to see to it that there's a balance.
As we commemorate World Press Freedom Day, it's evident that AI presents both opportunities and challenges for the media. By embracing AI education and learning to use these tools responsibly, journalists can elevate their work while safeguarding the core values of their profession. In Lagos for News Central, Igbalani Omoni.
And now to further discuss this, I'm joined by Damilola Decker. She's a program officer, or rather he is the program officer, Global Rights. Damilola, many thanks for doing this with us. Let me just start with getting your reaction. AI integration into journalism. We've seen those respondents there. Some say it's good, some say it's, it enhances editorial, capacity. What's your take? Let's start there. Damilola, we cannot hear you. If you can help us with your device.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Loud and clear. Please go ahead.
Okay. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be with you on your day. I think the report accurately sums up what the issue is, which is that it's a mixed bag. There are positives with regards to the use of AI and negatives with regards to the use of AI in just about every sector. You saw it there where you said AI can help you root out rudimentary tasks. Some of the things that you will normally spend your time doing as a journalist, AI can help you root that. While the more investigative, the more important and the more crucial aspects of the work can be done by yourself. So that's a positive part of AI. But the report also identified the negative aspects of it, because some of these algorithms are designed by human beings. Human beings have biases. Human beings come to the table with several points of view that can be reinforced in those particular algorithms that can be reinforced in the algorithms that are used by AI to produce results. So that's the negative side of it. So I think it's a mixed bag. Just like everything, I think I would advise people, particularly in my profession, in other professions as well, when you are using AI, just make sure that you don't rely on it solely. It's there to enhance your abilities, enhance what you can do, enhance your capabilities. It's not there for you. It's not a crutch for you to really lean on entirely. Don't just take whatever material or whatever has come out from it, hook, line, and sinker. Verify it. Ensure that you're not breaching trademarks. You're not breaching people's copyright. You're not taking things you're not supposed to take, or it's not bringing out facts that are not realistic or that are not true. Make sure you verify it before you make use of it. So I think it's a double-edged sword, as identified in your reports.
I will always say no to AI, but how do you respond to the notion that Nigeria's press freedom is under siege, with journalists facing increasing harassment, arrests as well, and censorship? What concrete steps can be taken to address these concerns? Is press freedom really free?
Yeah, in Nigeria, there's no denying the fact that press freedom is under siege. And I think it comes from divorcing the concept of democracy from press freedom, which is a notion that we have, particularly in this part of the world, where people think democracy is just about having periodic elections. Yes, you have periodic elections, and voters pick who their leaders. But sequel to that, several things have to happen for a functioning democracy to take place. You have to have you have to have checks and balances. You have to have an independent judiciary. You have to have the rule of law. There has to be respect for human rights and also independence of the press. The press have to have the ability to hold people accountable. That was why the writers of our constitution were very, very clear. They left a section 22 of the constitution, which clearly spells out that nothing shall infringe the rights of the press to hold people accountable, to hold government accountable, hold people in power accountable. So it's sacrosanct in any democracy, and it is under threat in Nigeria. CJID, the organization Center for Journalism Innovation and Development, has a press attack tracker, and according to them, from May 2023 to about August 2024, we had about 121 attacks on the press, 81 of them by governmental agencies, by arms of the state, that's law enforcement and security agents. Even during the End Bad Governance protest, which we saw last year, we saw that journalists were frequent targets of law enforcement, about 6-7 attacks related to that. So definitely they are under threat in Nigeria. Harassment over stories that when they expose corruption, let me identify Fisayo Shoyinbo of is it Foundation for Investigative Journalism, who exposed in his report corruption in the customs, Nigerian customs. And what was his reward for it? Rather than the Nigerian state or law enforcement agencies slapping him on the back and saying, you have done a good job at bringing this corruption to light. What we saw was constant harassment. He was constantly harassed, constantly called by the police. The police that can use their resources to divert their resources to handle more important issues, they were harassing him because he exposed corruption in customs. That's not the way it's supposed to be. So obviously, in Nigeria, press freedom is under threat.
Now, let's also talk about, the growing trend of governments using laws like the Cyber Crimes Act to stifle press freedom. How can Nigeria's legal framework be reformed to prevent such abuses and ensure that journalists can work without fear of persecution and even abductions and arrests? Because we saw that last year with one of the senior investigative journalists for FIJ.
Yes, I think we have to reform our laws, and this cuts across all sectors. I'm not just talking about issue of even press freedom or issues related to Cyber Crime Act, which is notorious. Right, last year it was amended, the Section 24, which is the problematic section, one of the more problematic sections of the law, which allows law enforcement to arrest people over things like offense. It has been narrowed down slightly since the amendment 2024, but that is not enough. It is still being used as a cudgel by law enforcement agents to arrest journalists and people who are dissenters, people who express opinions that they don't like. So we need to reform our laws. Unfortunately, the legal background, there lies a legal background for law enforcement to carry out such actions, and we need to reform those laws. The Cyber Crime Act needs to be amended to more narrowly define what exactly cyber crimes are. We are not denying that, yes, some things are, sometimes things that are done on the internet or done online are definitely illegal. But we are saying that it should be narrowed in a way that doesn't infringe on core rights, the right to freedom of expression, the right to information, and also the right of the press, people to dissent. That's very important. Also, and I also want to just note this issue
very
of
quickly,
anti-defamation laws. Defamation is still there's still defamation. Defamation is still a criminal offense in several parts of Nigeria. So we need to decriminalize defamation. It's a big issue. It's in the 21st century. You shouldn't have laws that criminalize defamation. It's a civil issue. If someone libels you or slanders you, you should be able to sue them to court, and the court will handle the issue based on the facts. But it should be handled civilly, not by law enforcement. It should not be a criminal.
It's a civil matter and not a criminal issue. I mean, Damilola, many thanks for doing this with us. We appreciate you for coming on. Damilola Deka, he's a program officer, Global Rights, giving us a bit of insight with World Press Freedom Day. Let's go on a short break, shall we? When we return, we're going to talk about student loans. After the break, stay with us. And you're welcome back. Let's start with this one, and this is from the Federal Ministry of Education. It has launched an investigation into alleged illegal deductions from institutional fees paid by the Nigerian Education Loan Fund on behalf of beneficiaries of student loan scheme. Education Minister Tunji Alausa described the reported infractions, in the loan disbursement process as very disturbing and extremely concerning. However, NEL Fund has maintained that no funds have been mismanaged, stolen, or left unaccounted for under the scheme. The student loan scheme was introduced by President Bola Tinubu to provide indigent students with easier access to higher education. To date, NEL Fund has disbursed a total of 53 billion naira to students. And now to further discuss this, we're joined by rights activist Hassan Soweto. Hassan, it's good to have you join me.
Yes, thanks for having me.
I must say, let's just start with your thoughts on this news. Are you worried? Is it concerning? Should there be investigations into these alleged illegal infractions in the disbursement of funds?
Well, I mean, the thing is to say is that I'm not surprised.
Why?
We expected it, we predicted it. When the student loan scheme was introduced in 2023, we produced this material, 10 reasons why Tinubu student loans is a scam, where we forewarned that this was going to be what the outcome would be. So in that sense, we are not surprised. But then, obviously, this is public money. This is taxpayers' money. So if there's any doubt about its usage, the proper thing is to have an independent and democratic probe. I don't trust the probe that the ICPC is doing, because it's become obvious that already politics is playing out.
So you don't think?
So as soon as ICPC spoke, then a few days after, they then retracted and said they actually made a mistake. They didn't say that 71 billion naira was unaccounted for. They only said that there was a need for further investigation. That was what they said a few days after. But the reality is that when you go to campuses, this sentiment about the fact that we don't know how the funds, what they are being used for, the fact that they are being deducted, it's quite rife on campus. I just came back from Obafemi University. I went there during the week for a symposium, and I interacted with students. So what that means is that there's a basis for an independent and democratic probe of these allegations so that we can uncover the truth behind all of this.
I mean, I must say, I mean, you're saying this, that there's still a little bit of, there should be more transparency and accountability in the process of disbursement. But NELFund have said that they've disbursed a total of 53 billion naira. If we're looking at, if they are calling for investigations, or say investigations are going to go into the process, what are the steps you'd like to see to make it more transparent beside an independent probe?
Well, I mean, the first thing is to have a probe committee that is made up of the stakeholders within the system. If it's about an internal probe by the Ministry of Education or a probe by the ICPC, that cannot be trusted. The stakeholders who are directly affected will know what is going on. Because if you look at the statement from NELFund, denying that there's any problem with the funds, as well as the statement from the National Orientation Agency, because don't forget that the news that there was something going on with the funds actually broke out from the National Orientation Agency sometimes last month, when the NOAA Director General thereabout said that they had, uncovered the fact that at the levels of the universities, in fact, they actually said 51 universities are involved in this, that there are certain sharp practices going on. One, the funds are left in the bank account for so long in order to gather interest. Then two, when these funds are paid into the university account, certain deductions, which are illegal, which are not provided for by the act setting up the scheme, are deducted by the university. Then they also said that some beneficiaries of the loan scheme are not informed by the university that the loans they applied for have been paid, which therefore means that their fees for that session has been covered, which means that they are then compelled to cover out the fees by themselves. So you are talking about a very widespread corruption going on, especially at the level of the universities. So that a proper probe would have to involve the stakeholders on the ground, majorly the representative of the staff unions and the students, in order to be able to look into the books of the universities to see where the monies are going into and what they are being spent. So I think that we need that kind of probe. That is the only way to ensure that we actually uncover the truth.
Right. But in the meantime, NELFund claims that no funds have been mismanaged or left unaccounted for. So if you don't, you said you don't find this response convincing. You just came back from a university campus where it seems that they are calling for assistance, to help alleviate the issues when it comes to school payments and the rest. So what steps would you recommend for NELFund to sort of build trust?
Well, I wouldn't want to give any advice to NELFund, because you give advice to a project that is fated to succeed. The student
so
loan
you believe NELFund was not fated to succeed?
The student loan scheme is not a project that is fated to succeed. It's a project based on a lie. the lie that Nigerian government does not have enough resources to fund public education. When you look at the statement from the Fund, what do you realize? They said from last year, they have voted to the student loan about 203 billion naira. And more than half of that money was gotten from Fund, which is a scheme established since the 90s in order to provide infrastructures
development for the university.
So that means you are taking these monies from Fund. So no new money has come to the loan. The government itself only gave about 10 billion. The other 50 billion was from the recoveries made by EFCC from corrupt politicians. So that in the real sense of the word, what the government is doing is actually using education budget that is not enough ordinarily. And we are balkanizing that, partitioning that, and using that to float a loan scheme. Meanwhile, the loan scheme is not available for all students, including all individual students. There are nothing less than 3 million undergraduate students. According to the success story of Fund, they have only been able to give out the loan to about 203,000 students. On the campuses, we see many indigenous students who still can't access the loan. But don't also forget, when the loan scheme started last year, it provoked a wave of fear across tertiary institutions. So that what that means therefore now is that there are hundreds of thousands of undergraduate students who cannot access the loan, who are being forced to pay higher fees, and who are therefore dropping out. That is the legacy of the student loan in Nigeria, and that is why it is unworkable. And we are saying that it must be repealed. That act must be repealed. The student loan should be, turned into a grant payable to students, and government should take up the responsibility of funding public education.
So turn into a grant payable to the students, and government should take over it. The guidelines or the requirements to access these loans, at the time when it was being reeled out, we all did, flag it and say not every student will have this requirement, and one of them was to have a level 10, level 12 civil servants who who would stand as guarantor for you to sign off. So it makes me wonder if all of this 12,000 or thereabout that have accessed this loan up to 53 billion have level 12 or level 15, civil servants in their telephone numbers to call and stand as guarantor. But away from that, you also, there's a statement you made. You said that the Nigerian government cannot finance or do not have the resources to fund tertiary education in Nigeria to the standard of world-class standard. So what exactly is the issue? And you also said that Fund have sort of recycled to now become what we see as Fund. Truly in and of itself, it's borrowed money from, from different coffers. So how then can this government support, the students? How can we support students, in Nigeria and improve our tertiary institution?
It's very simple. Nigeria has enough resources, actually, to fund public education rather. What is happening is that government is operating on the basis of a pro-market ideology and philosophy that says that education cannot be for everyone, and it can only be provided on the basis of affordability, on the basis of your ability to afford it. If you cannot afford it, we provide a loan for you. That free market ideology has been imposed on us by the IMF and World Bank, the global capitalist order. We need to renounce that and go back to looking at our resources. And that is why, again, I keep saying that the solution to this problem, we had put it forward since 2 years ago. In fact, in this publication, we identified alternative funding sources in order to be able to provide for tertiary education. And we realized that government could actually gather 1.7 trillion naira within 1 year if they took certain measures that we proposed here, which would mean to cut the profligacy and the corruption in the system. Because obviously there's a whole lot of money that is not being used for productive purposes. If you do this, you will get adequate resources to ensure that fees can be cancelled, education is provided, and the facilities are equally provided for students. And that will require, obviously, a government that believes in it. Right now, those we have in power, the APC government, is a government of capitalist looters. They are not interested in this, and that's why we're in this mess. And that is why there's a need for a revolution to turn things around.
Well, Hassan, I must say thank you. Hassan Taiwo Soweto here, human rights, or rather, just so I can be clear on that. Yes, he's a rights activist, and he joined me today just to talk a bit about this NEL fund, as the Ministry of Education have said that they're going to launch an investigation into alleged illegal deductions from the institutional fees paid by the Nigeria Education Loan Fund on behalf of beneficiaries. Let's go on a short break, shall we? When we return, it's going to be culture, sight and sound as the Ogori people of Kogi State celebrate Ovia Osese Festival. After the break, stay with us. And you're welcome back. The National Association of Nigerian Students, led by Comrade Olushola Oladoja, has debunked allegations of harassment, assault and death threats leveled against it by Atiku Issa, who also claims leadership of the Apex Student Union body in Nigeria. Addressing a news conference in Abuja, Oladoja described Issa's accusations as an orchestrated smear campaign designed to sow discord within NANS and tarnish the reputation of Sheyi Tinubu, son of Nigeria's president. He further accused Issa of associating closely with opposition politicians and described his claims to the NANS presidency as illegitimate. The Presidential Compressed Natural Gas Initiative, in collaboration with the National Union of Road Transport Workers in Abuja, have slashed the transport fares of all PCNGI registered public transport vehicles by 40% for residents within the federal capital. The PCNGI, during the flag-off ceremony of the initiative at the Area 1 Motor Park in Abuja, says that the scheme is expected to ease the transportation cost for residents of the capital in line with President Bola Tinubu's directive. It says that converted vehicles have signed up for the scheme, and all their routes from the Area 1 Motor Park to other locations in the FCT will henceforth experience a reduction in their fares.
The intention is to, as much as possible, reduce the price of transportation for the general public. We have worked hand in hand with the National Union of Road Transport Workers. We have converted a lot of their vehicles, and based on the agreement that we have with them, of course, is for them to reduce the prices for the general public so that the effect of the fuel subsidy that was taken off, the burden will be reduced on Nigerians.
Vehicles that have been converted, we have a price tag written on the vehicles, so that you as a passenger, if you are going to Gwagwalada Nyanya, you will notice that this vehicle is being converted and this is the price tag. You don't need to ask anybody, you don't need to suffer yourself. And any driver, we are in charge of the drivers because they are our driving members and we are in charge. We make sure that all the members, all the passengers enjoy this benefit. As long as we are giving that benefit, we also want the members to enjoy it in order to make sure that Mr. President succeeds in this program that he has launched.
Still in Abuja, the FCT Police Command says that 21 suspected stolen vehicles have been recovered following the arrest of 15 suspected car thieves in April alone. The Police Commissioner, Ajao Adewale, made this known in the nation's capital, Abuja, saying that some of the cars have been returned back to their rightful owners. He also added that during an extensive raid on suspected criminal hideouts within the period under review, over 1,600 additional suspects were arrested for various offenses, with several exhibits recovered from them.
Out of the recovered vehicle, 6 have been returned to their rightful owner after due verification, while 30 vehicles are being paraded here today. You can see them behind us there. Additionally, the command conducted extensive raid across several hotspots, resulting in the arrest of 1,611 suspects, many of whom are linked to drug-related offenses and other criminal activities. Substantial quantity of hard drugs, cannabis and all the like were recovered during this operation, and they are part of what you will see here today.
You're watching news now on News Central Television. Coming up, Sierra Leone records 1,140 cases, I beg your pardon, 9 deaths in 2025. We'll tell you all about this and more just after the break. Stay with us. And you're welcome back. Sierra Leone's Ministry of Health says the West African nation is battling a fresh surge in Mpox infections with 1,140 cases and 9 deaths reported since the beginning of the year. The government declared a public health emergency in January to tackle the outbreak. As of last week, the death toll stood at 6, with 763 confirmed cases. The capital, Freetown, has recorded the highest number of infections. In response, Sierra Leone launched a vaccination campaign in April, prioritizing children aged 12 and above, high-risk groups and healthcare workers. The World Health Organization has also provided 61,300 vaccine doses. 4 treatment centers have also been established in Freetown to manage the outbreak.
Sierra Leone proudly stands as a beacon of progress in the fight for equitable vaccine access. Our national immunization coverage has consistently improved, and we have made significant gains in reducing childhood mortality and preventing vaccine-preventable disease.
Gabon's President-elect Brice Oligui Nguema is said to be sworn in this Saturday following a landslide victory in the polls, securing nearly 95% of the vote. Nguema, who led the August 2023 coup that brought an end to 55 years of the Bongo family rule, will officially take office after presiding over a 19-month transitional government. The inauguration will be held at Libreville's 40,000-seat Nganja Stadium, marking the first time a presidential swearing-in will take place before such a large public audience in Gabon. Now, several African heads of state are expected to attend, including the presidents of Senegal, Rwanda, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and Equatorial Guinea. The ceremony is open to the public with free tickets distributed nationwide. Nguema has pledged to usher in a new democratic era for Gabon after decades of dynastic leadership. And off to the Vatican we go, as Catholic cardinals have gathered for the 9th General Congregation following the death of Pope Francis, as final preparations are underway for the conclave to elect his successor. The closed-door meetings are being held to discuss the current state of the Church, global challenges, and to reflect on the legacy of Pope Francis. They also serve as a time for cardinals to get to know one another ahead of the conclave, which officially begins Wednesday, May 7th. Cardinals under the age of 80 will enter the Sistine Chapel next week to cast their votes in secrecy, choosing the 267th successor to St. Peter. The inaugural edition of the Chess Masters tournament is set to take place on Saturday, May 3rd, 2025 at Eco Hotels and Suites, Victoria Island, Lagos. With over 5 million naira in prize money up for grabs. The event, open to school children, aims to go beyond the conventional boundaries of the competition. Now, the organizers say the Chess Masters initiative is designed to equip participants with critical thinking, problem-solving abilities, and strategic reasoning, skills essential for thriving in the 21st century. Billed as more than just a tournament, Chess Masters offers schools across Nigeria a platform to inspire and challenge their students in an intellectually stimulating environment. It is expected to draw young minds from various institutions, fostering a culture of strategic excellence and mental discipline. The tournament underscores a growing national interest in the educational innovation through mind sports like chess, which are increasingly becoming recognized for their developmental impact on youth. Nigeria sprinter sensation Favour Ofili clocked 10.94 seconds. That's about plus 2.4 millisecond to finish third in the women's 100-meter at the Grand Slam track meet in Miami, marking her debut at the prestigious league. Now, the race held late Friday night. It produced 5 sub-11 performances, with USA's Malisa Jefferson-Wooden winning in a swift 10.75 seconds. That's 10.75 seconds, followed closely by Tamari Davis in 10.79 seconds. Now, Ofili's time ranks as fourth fastest under all conditions and underscores a growing prominence in global sprinting. Olympic 200-meter champion Gabi Thomas finished fourth as well in 10.97 seconds, while Jasius Arsaz came in fifth at 10.98 seconds. Although wind assisted, the times showcase elite form ahead of the 200-meter race set for early Sunday. Ofili remains Africa's top 100-meter performer in 2024. And I can't even run without losing my breath. Anyway, that's all we can take at this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. President Bola Tinubu pledges support for the military in its battle against insurgents across northern Nigeria. And as the world marks World Press Freedom Day, there are calls to navigate the rapid integration of artificial intelligence into their journalism. And we went to Gabon, where the president-elect there, Brice Oligui Nguema, is set to be sworn in following a landslide victory in the polls, securing nearly 95% of the vote. Now, do remember that if you see anything out there on the roads, please send us your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number now showing on the screen. And while you're at it, make sure to follow us on social media. We're at News Central TV on all social media platforms. You can always watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422. We're also on GoTV, by the way. Find us on channel 23 or on Star Times channel 274. We're also on Apple TV, or better yet, you can stream us live on YouTube. Hey, thanks for watching. I am Judith at TV. Good night.